Gentlemen,
How you doing?
good.
John, how are you?
Good, nice to see you again.
Good to see you.
Okay, Steve, nice to see you. Nice to meet you, sir. Okay.
Oh, apparently I have to say, do you know the commissioners, huh?
We
All
took
right.
care of that. So we did stickies.
I have a pen.
I took my pen.
Sign this, David.
Here's another one, I brought another one with me.
Today's date is the 14th.
14th.
Hey, military,
Mhm.
14 August. That's cool. All right. We are looking at 2560 Evetts Creek Road. This is 10.26 acres.
That's the wrong property.
That's the wrong, oh, well, let's get rid of that. Get good headed. Okay. It's the church?
Uh-huh.
I thought we did this. It's exempt.
We did do this before.
Yeah, and we exempted it.
Well, you told me at that time, when I was in, that if I did not appeal, that we would have to go along with that appraised value assessment.
Okay, okay.
Okay, and you told me that if I wanted to object to it, I would have to do it even though it is a non-taxable property at this time.
Yes, that's correct. Okay,
That's the wrong address too.
what's the correct address?
2560. It's correct on the tax bills and all.
Okay, so we're at 2560 Evetts Creek Road, 0.208 of an acre with what was at one time a church, then wasn't, but now is, as of June.
It's always been a church. I don't mean to interrupt you or correct you, but it is a church. It'll always be a
Okay,
church.
it was at one time used as a church, and then it was not used as a church, and now it's back to being used as a church.
Correct.
And
It's
its
been,
current assessed value is $26,900.
correct.
I am too.
And they do have worship services there
Yes, every Sunday,
every Sunday? So it's
10 to
okay.
6, you're all invited. Kenton Moyer's the pastor. It's a Baptist church, first Baptist church ever in Bedford Valley.
I was out the other night working in the yard, he stopped and introduced himself, him and his
Did he?
wife, yeah.
Sandy, very
Yes.
nice couple,
Yes.
very young, just very
It's
excited
Yeah.
about the Lord, yeah.
okay. Yeah, it's exempt.
Okay? Can I go ahead and speak about it?
Yeah.
Okay. We're dealing with .208 acres. And on the tax bill that I just paid today with Nicole Wingle, the property is, that .208 acres is assessed at $350. This is a chapel. This is not a church, it's a chapel. It holds approximately 100 people. And that is butt-to-butt people. You know, that's how close it is, okay? There's no water, there's no sewerage. There is a right-of-way on this property of this .208 acres, which takes approximately a third of it, and it's used very frequently. Based on, and I don't want you to look at the other property then, the over 10 acres, but if it was based on the same rate as our home, the 10.26 acres, the 10.26 acres has a value of 30-some dollars per 0.208 acres. And you have this appraised at $350. The prior time when I came into the commissioners, when the former commissioners and Steve, you excused yourself at that time if you remember, which I have no trouble being here. Now, I would like for you to keep this away from my brother, your father-in-law. But the house land would be appraised at $38.52 per increment of 0.208 acres. You have this appraised at $350. The church is a Civil War era church. There has, we put paint on it. The roof has been painted gray. The inside has been painted. No water, no storage, and the price, the assessed value went up 101.5%. 101.5% it went up. I came in to the, excuse me, I don't mean to interrupt your conversation, but I'd like for you to listen, both of you to listen to this. I'd like for you to listen to this, please. I came in, and before this, you had it appraised at $46,500. And
That was the initial number.
that was the initial number back when the Cumberland Bible, or the Bedford Valley Bible Church pulled out of it. It went on the books at $46,000. Okay? My dad brought a group in from the Methodist Church, which met once a month, which held the condition of making it tax exempt. Okay? Due to deaths, Lloyd Nave, Ruth L. Hardsock fell and broke her hip and all. Then I put it back on the tax roll, 46. Okay, I got it reduced to $13,350. Now the assessed value for 13 is $26,900. So it went up, like I said, 101.5%. A third of it is right of way. I cannot use that third. I have to give that right of way to the Loucks, to whoever wants to drive up. Okay. And I have no problem with that. I realize that's a right-of-way until I would give them an alternative. Okay, so to recap, it's a chapel, it has no water, it has no storage, it sits on 0.208 acres, I have a right-of-way on it, and based on the same rate as the home, it's over, you know, it's a building. Now, as Mr. The one former commissioner, wasn't her line, said to me, what is it? It's a church. I don't care if you have services in it or not. It's like a duck. Just because you cut off its 1 foot, it's still a duck. Melissa, you know, whether you have services in it or not, it's a church. It is a church. It is not storage. It's not going to be a antique shop. It's not going to be a clothing store. We're not going to put a barber shop in it. You know, there is nothing else. It is a church. My dad bought it in 1964 for the reason that people wanted to make it into a home. He had gone there as a boy. He would have been 100 years old this year. It is a church. You do not split hairs and say, just because you do not have a congregation, that building is a church.
Unfortunately, the law determines whether you can be exempt is if you do have services.
That's correct. But the building itself, Mr. Morris, is a church.
That's true, but then I also had pizza at a John's Pizzeria, which was a former Baptist church that they now have. I mean, the building can change function.
It can be.
So,
what I'm saying to you is from 1965 or 64, when Walter W. McCoy Sr. bought it, until today, August the 14th, 2012, It is a church. It has not been nothing but a church.
Right, and to claim exempt status as a church,
We do.
you do have to have,
We have the
Foundation.
service, but,
and that is exempt.
again, I have no problem, but don't call it a building. It is a church. On the tax bill, it says church. So if you send us a tax bill, if it's non-exempt, why don't you put building on it? You don't. You put church. So that is exactly what that building is, a church. So, if you want to split hairs, but like I said,
So are you asking us to make it exempt?
No. I'm asking, as I discussed it with Melissa, when I brought in and asked for filed papers to show, printed them off the internet, to show it was exempt. And there was a bunch of questions, and she said, oh, you don't need to fill this out, fill that out. It's exempt.
Right.
And she says it won't come into effect till next year. Fine. My objection is, it is not worth, I don't think it's worth $13,350, but I still don't agree with the 101% increase in assessed value. Realizing, this acreage, the amount that I can use, and I call it a chapel rather than a church. And, and the value, the land, I won't say is any less valuable than what our home is, but it is still 0.208 acres. It is nothing more.